Again, this session is the CCA role and education options. It's hosted by the Health Association of Nova Scotia. And our speakers today from the association are Kaylee Sharples and Amanda Morrissey. And I'll now turn it over to you.
So I work with the CCA program, and my counterpart is Amanda Morrissey.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Morrissey, and I work with Kaylee with the CCA program, and I am in the RPL coordinator role.
Awesome. So we're really it's fairly short what we're going to chat about today. We really wanted to introduce the CCA role in case this is something you guys are interested in, or if you want more information about it, and what the current education options are for an individual that's looking to gain their certification. All right.
All right, so we're just starting off. So what is a certified CCA? So a certified CCA is a care provider who holds a provincial certification from the Nova Scotia Department of Seniors and Long-Term Care. Just a general overview, just in case anyone had any questions about what exactly a CCA is.
So really, what does the CCA do? As you can see here with the gentleman and the guy, I mean, there's a lot of really wonderful, valuable interactions that happen. They provide vital services to people who need support in their daily lives. So it's your everyday stuff. They support care, safety, and well-being. They're really there to enrich people's quality of life by providing personal care and other activities to help individuals live well within where they are today. I mean, that's the whole key. CCAs, they help clients to participate in meaningful activities. So that could be outings, it could be recreational activities, it could be watching a video, it could be checking out photos, lots of different things that CCAs are going to do. It's not all smiles and giggles. It is a very challenging and rewarding job. So, all right.
And CCAs work in a variety of healthcare settings. So they can be working in nursing homes, residential care facilities, people's personal homes with home support, and in hospitals, among many other places.
And CCAs, they're always a part of the team. So although CCAs normally work independent, as Amanda had mentioned, they work in nursing homes, home support agencies, people's homes. They work in a lot of different settings. That requires them to be able to work independently. So they provide input on clients' care plans. That's a part of what they do collaboratively with their team. They help to monitor and report changes in individuals' behaviors and or health. And they collect data for client assessments and for care planning. They also support end-of-life care. So you can see it's really diverse what CCAs do. So it's important for you, if that resonates with you, that's something you're comfortable doing. Working independently is working collaboratively as a part of the team. Even when CCAs work independently, they are always a part of the team. So they're always working with clients, with the families, and with other team members. So registered nurses, LPNs, physicians, occupational therapists, all of that stuff. Okay.
And there's a few different options for education, for working towards gaining your CCA certification. So we have a traditional educational program, we have a progressive education plan, and then we also have the CCA recognizing prior learning process, which is the RPL program. So Kaylee's going to dive a little bit further into a few of these different programs that we have.
Awesome. So I'm going to look after traditional and the progressive education. I'm going to leave RPL to Amanda. So traditional deliveries, we've been teaching the CCA program for roughly 22 years now. Wow. Having said that out loud, that's crazy. So the CCA program is delivered by licensed education providers. It must be delivered by a licensed education provider. There's a couple different options that can happen for these guys. You can either take the program full-time. There are some part-time deliveries happening as well. And for the most part, your traditional deliveries are happening face-to-face with a classroom-based delivery. Traditional deliveries take about 30 weeks to complete, and that means that it's about a 4 to 5 hour class day for a student. After skills development, so that's your very first placement that you're out in the industry, and that happens at about 14 weeks into the program, students are able to perform basic or routine care requirements for individuals. If you'll pop to the next slide, Amanda. So how does that differ from the progressive education plan? So depending on what you need and what works best for your life, the progressive education plan, it's a little bit more, it's a little heavier, just because the time frame's a little tighter. So it's still with licensed education providers, there's a couple different options for delivery. So you can go full-time and part-time. Most of the deliveries are starting off full-time and then they transition to part-time once you get through your first portion of skills development. So that's the first placement. The delivery methods are dominantly face-to-face classroom-based or online blended. Right now, honestly, we're seeing online blended. With the COVID influx again, the online blended is definitely the approach the progressive education seems to be taking. The program takes about 21 weeks to complete if an individual is doing 8-hour class time. So you can see the difference between traditional and progressive. The traditional, you're 4 or 5 hours in a classroom. For the progressive, you could be up to 8 hours in a classroom. So that's a little bit more heavy from an outcome and a homework perspective. By the time students are finished their first portion of the skills development, they're ready for the routine care requirements they provide. So that's usually when they transition to part-time and they start working part-time and going to school part-time. Once they're finished the second portion of skills development, then they come right back into alignment with the normal or the traditional deliveries and they finish off the program. So that's a little bit about traditional delivery and progressive education plan. I'm going to toss it back to Amanda and she can talk a little bit about RPL.
Yeah, so the RPL process is even a little bit more different from traditional and progressive education plan. So this is really tailored for people that have immense background in the healthcare sector. So either in home care, home support, long-term care. So the RPL program works with the student or employee. As I mentioned, most of them are already working in industry, and the employer to complete all components of the program delivery. So this is different from the traditional and the progressive education because it is completely self-directed. And delivery method is online blended, but mainly online. So where that self-directed comes in is most of the participants are going to be doing everything online by themselves with a navigator and really directing it at their own time and on their own pace. So RPL takes a maximum of 15 months to complete. It can be completed much faster than that. It just depends on the time that the participant has. As I mentioned, most participants work full-time while they're completing RPL. So sometimes it takes them that full 15 months, sometimes they can complete it a little bit faster. And by the end of phase 1, most students meet the continuing care assistant 1 education preparation. So phase 1 is our assessment period. We work through that before moving on to the educational portion, and they usually meet level 1 of the CCA in training.
So that CCA in training really is for routine care requirements. That's kind of the foundational expectations for clients to support them. Hopefully that helps. Let me hop off to the next. Awesome. So standard admission requirements for all programs, including traditional progressive education as well as RPL, include that you need a criminal record and a vulnerable sector check. It has to be clear convictions and current within less than 6 months when you start the program. You have to be able to perform all job duties. So that's the physical and other. And you have to have reliable transportation for placements if they're required. So you have to be able to get to the nursing home where your placement's going to be. You have to be able to get to clients' homes wherever they're going to occur for your home support setting. So you have to be able to travel to get to where you need to go. English proficiency is required. So if you're coming into Canada and your education preparation is not done in English with an English as a first language country, will need an assessment tool to demonstrate that you're going to meet the English proficiency. So the last thing we want to do is set somebody up for not good experience. And you have to have some basic computer literacy. Right now, CCAs are starting to use electronic charting. So all of those things are important to have in your back pocket. Amanda's going to kind of walk you through, as she mentioned, for RPL. The only way you access RPL is if you have robust experience in the industry in a role similar to CCA or something that's similar to give you the ability to get credit for what you already know and can do. I'm going to pass it off to Amanda. Go for it.
Yeah, so as Kaylee mentioned, so there is a few RPL specific admission requirements. So as a general guideline, we usually use 3 years full-time or 5 years part-time working or volunteering as a direct care and or support service worker. So that's someone that's working in the field already for at least around 3 to 5 years. We use this guideline so that we're making sure, like Kaylee just mentioned, we don't want to set anybody up to fail with RPL. So we want to make sure that you're going to be successful in proving a minimum of the 7 out of the 13 CCA program modules. Another component of the RPL admission process is that we really take into effect any previous CCA program education that you may have already completed. So we take that into consideration as well. But that's the main difference between a traditional or progressive education plan admission requirement and the RPL program is just having that immense experience prior to applying.
Awesome. Okay, so that's really the education stuff. We thought it'd be important to take just a couple minutes and talk about the registry and kind of really what is the registry. So we want to make sure that you guys understand the CCA registry. It just became mandatory in February. So now anyone working in the role in Nova Scotia is required to be a part of that registry. And the registry provides us better understanding of how many CCAs are working in the province, where the CCAs are working, and how to address staffing shortages. So if you know how many are working and where they're working, you can start to figure out where are the gaps in the province, so we can start to boost up who we're recruiting, where we're recruiting. Subsequently, that's one of the reasons this career fair is happening, so we can help to improve recruitment for CCAs, because it really is a fantastic job. It's not for everybody. You have to have that caring heart and you have to have that value-based approach, but definitely it is a very rewarding job and very busy. So if you're really up for providing a lot of positive interactions with people that are going to change their lives, this is a really good role. So I'm going to pass it off. Amanda can talk about who can apply for the registry.
Yeah, so who should apply for the registry? So we say anyone in Nova Scotia working the role of a CCA, as Kaylee mentioned, is required to register for the registry. So this includes certified continuing care assistants, so the CCAs, certified home support workers, home healthcare providers, and home health aides, certified personal care workers, retired nurses, internationally educated nurses, and there's also the conditional hires and the on-the-job trained. So there's a large variety of who should be registering for the CCA registry. Anything you wanted to add in there, Kaylee? Registry-wise?
I think one of the things as a new student coming into the CCA program, at the end of your program, once you are certified, you are automatically popped into that registry the first shot round, I do believe, if you give us permission to pop you into that registry. It may be something that's connected directly to employers as well. So once you get your job, then they will require that you'll be registered. So yeah, so it's pretty new. It's very exciting. And yeah, I think that's it, Amanda. Is there anything else we were going to talk about? I think that's wrapping it up, isn't it? There you go.
I think that's just about, yeah, where we left things off, and just maybe open the floor for any questions that anyone might have.
And this is our contact information for Amanda and myself. So if you need anything, you're more than welcome to email us. You can also just email ccarpl@healthassociation.ns.ca if it's easier. So Health Association is where the CCA program lives. So that's where Amanda and I work. And we actually work in close proximity with Bethany, who talked probably earlier about the HR recruitments that are starting to happen right across, well, internationally, actually. And we are super excited about that. But Health Associations where we live, the CCA program is a totally separate department. So that might be helpful for people. And I will say there's a couple other questions we traditionally get from individuals. So one of them is, okay, how do I get into RPL? What are you actually talking about when you're talking about experience? What does that actually mean? And another one is, okay, so what do I do in this situation where I want to go to school? How do I afford to do that when my life currently would not give me that option? I can't take on a student loan. So those are a couple of questions I thought I can just quickly address for you guys in case that's something you're interested in. So the first one, RPL, how do you get involved? RPL is designed for people who have lots of experience in industry. What we mean by that is you've actually provided personal care, you've provided supports, those types of things to individuals that need help. If you are brand new to this industry, that might not be the right place for you. We actually have somebody with a question. Yay, thank you. So if you're from Ontario and you took the healthcare aid in 95, 96 and moved into Nova Scotia in 88 and it wasn't recognized. So working in a nursing home since 89, what education would I need to take? You could absolutely go through RPL. You'd be an awesome candidate for recognizing prior learning, because we look at not just what you took for your healthcare aid in Ontario back in 88 or 85, 86, but we would also look at everything that you've learned since then working in the nursing home setting. So that would be one situation you could do. Right now, Department of Health has funding to support the cost for recognizing prior learning process. So there'll be no registration fees. And if you'd like to reach out, Amanda Morrissey would probably be the one to get in touch with, or you can do the CCA RPL at healthassociation.ns.ca. Amanda, maybe you could type that in to the chat so people can have it. I hope that helps. Let me know if you need me to drill down a little bit further with that, but we would definitely have the ability to recognize what you're already coming to the table with. Awesome. Yay, no problem. And we are happy to help. We are totally here to support you guys. So that's a really good question. That actually probably brings, I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. The other thing is, so if you have no experience, like it sounds like this individual has lots of experience. She's coming with a bag full of experience. It's just be fantastic to unpack. But what happens if you've only just started to look into being a care provider and you're absolutely excited about this because you're realizing this is the right place for you? What do you do? All of the schools around Nova Scotia that are advertising for the CCA program, they'll be able to support you. A lot of them are actually getting funded by the Department of Seniors and Long-Term Care, thank you, to cover tuition. So that's awesome, Amanda, thank you. So if you're looking to get into the CCA program, but financially it's not the best time for you, there is supports available. So there's tuition coverage by Seniors and Long-Term Care, and there's lots of other supports as well that schools can work with you to establish, to make sure you're not going to be struggling financially. We're in a shortage for CCAs, as I'm sure everybody knows. This is the right time to be looking at CCA as a role. And not only that, there was a wage increase, which is definitely a positive for CCAs. They work so hard, and COVID's been such a challenge. And they've risen to the challenge and then some. I mean, they have just rocked this whole pandemic. I mean, they've worked extra, they've supported people whose family can no longer come in and see them or can't be popping in with meals. Yeah, I'm always humbled when I hear the stories of what people are doing. So
and we have a question
in there.
Yeah.
So what prof would be required for CCA volunteer if in-house respite training and employment occurred? What would be required and what would the path look like? So if you wanted to, I'm just wondering, do you mean prof, do you mean what profession would be required for a volunteer CCA? I'm hoping I'm interpreting that right. Is that right?
Proof?
Maybe proof.
Okay. Okay, so if you've been volunteering as a CCA, the proof would be to be able to get some contact from the place where you've been volunteering, and we would actually have some demonstrated skills required, things like that. And actually, for RPL, we're pretty bossy. We'll literally say, do this, do this, do this, give us this, this, and this, and then we'll figure it out from there. Hopefully we interpreted that correctly. Please, Mary, if we've gone a different direction on you, just let us know. So that would hopefully start the conversation. If you've been volunteering in the role of the CCA for a while and you have other education, we'll pull all of that in. So the other education, so I'm thinking of Karen that was talking earlier, she'd have transcripts, course outline, she'd have all sorts of other things that would be coming in. She'd also have all that in-house education from the nursing home setting. She'd have the experience that she's garnered through her years of work and or volunteering for your situation. So lots of different things can be looked at to start to help to provide proof of what you know and can do. RPL, we are a little different. We look at what you know, so what you produce, that's the knowledge that's bouncing around in your brain. We also look for what you can demonstrate out in industry. So when industry witnesses you doing, that's the other side of the coin. So if both of those match, then you get credit. So that's how we build proof. That's how we create a defensible process. Hopefully that helped. It might be way too much information too, sorry.
I didn't know that you could volunteer as a CCA. So that would mean that she's got loads of built-in experience. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And a lot of sometimes organizations, particularly, and I don't know if Mary, this is your situation, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there was so much happening with COVID that we were just so short that people that had like retired nurses, people that had other experience out of province, organizations were just in dire straits. So people were being able to pop in and say, well, I can volunteer and stay just with this site. I can do these types of things. They also had a role called long-term care aid that was invented, or home care aid that was invented to be able to offset some of the demands and some of the pressures industry was experiencing. And those roles now, of course, are getting lots of robust experience in industry and are starting to figure out, okay, well, this is my passion. This is where I need to be. Where do I go from here? So RPL is a really good option for a lot of those individuals as well.
That's fantastic. Okay. So I don't
we're at
see
time.
any other questions and we're pretty much at time. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining us, Kaylee and Amanda, for the session today. And again, it won't be long before this recording is available on demand. By all means, you can pop in and watch it anytime. And do bookmark careersincare.ca as the new one-stop shop website for the information you need about becoming a CCA and current hiring opportunities.